Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Coach Deborah has a
No, no.
passion and purpose to assist young men, ages 15 to 24, to overcome obstacles and build their best lives. She wants to see every young man live out their potential. She has a master's degree in human services counseling, with a major in life coaching. More importantly, she is the mother of 3 boys, who are exceptional, educated, professional men. Coach Deborah believes it is better to train early, rather than need to fix later. She utilizes basic principles and God-led concepts. Sometimes the only thing a young man has is their credibility or their name. The actions they take are based on the decisions they make. Those decisions align with their choices and result in consequences. Coach Deborah can assist you if you are lost, floundering, or confused. Embrace the help and start building your best life today.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk with Deborah and Anastasia. We are excited, so we hope you are as well. Good morning, Anastasia.
Good morning, Miss Deborah. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I love these real talks. You know, it's just real people with real topics. And so we have to put in that real talk to go along with it. And, you know, this month we have been focusing on reaching out for a solid education. So this is actually almost the last topic that we have about education. We have one more coming up next week, but this month is almost gone. But you know, education is so important and essential to what we're doing. So we want to make sure that we share information that will assist our future presidents and businessmen and women to be their best. And this morning, we're going to be talking about ABCSTEM, necessary to essential. And I know I talked about the other day about people and their acronyms. So these acronyms are really, really simple. ABC, just regular ABCs that we learn when we first begin to talk and write and read and all of that good stuff. And then STEM is our STEM, our science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so we want to go into that a little bit today. And we're just going to open up with some basic information first. So you want to have anything you want to open up with before we get started, Anastasia?
I know that we are about to get into the school rush. All of the shopping is being finalized here. We have most of our schools opening on Monday, our government schools, and some of our private schools opening on Monday. Who does not open on this Monday coming? They are opening on the next week, Monday. So has your school started going yet? I think I saw that Esther had up that Grace 1 and Gideon were going back to school already. You guys have started, right?
Right. We started, some schools started on August 14th, and then others started on the 15th, so that Monday or Tuesday. But most of the public schools started on August the 14th.
Wow.
So,
You're going to
yeah.
get a good head start ahead of us. But it's great that we can see the diversities in how schools operate and how things are done. Because, you know, we were talking earlier about magnet schools and then what you guys do there, where some schools just teach the basics of, you know, education, regular curriculum, regular layout. And then there are some schools that are specific to different areas of STEM, STEAM, all of these things. And our system is so much different. But we're going to get into all of that in a little bit of time, right?
Right. All right. So make sure that you like, comment, and share. Share. So other young people and parents and educators can get on here. Make sure that you follow me on my Build Your Best Life Facebook page as well. Subscribe to me on my YouTube page, which is Build Your Best Life with Coach, not with Coach, Build Your Best Life with Deborah D. Smith. So please subscribe to my YouTube page as well. So you want to make sure that you're always able to connect. So if one source is down or something's going wrong, you can flip over to the other source. But we want to make sure that you get the information. All right. So I'm going to start out here just talking about basically what we're going to be talking about today. But ABC is easy as 1, 2, 3. I know some of you might remember that song with the Jacksons. ABC is easy as 1, 2, 3. But back 500, 300, 200 years ago, even 50 years ago, learning basic reading, writing, and arithmetic were not only necessary, but it was exciting, it was useful, it was a privilege, an adventure, a game changer, because that's all we had. But today we have specialty subjects and specialty schools, and we have STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and then STEAM, which includes the arts in that as well. So this new learning knowledge is essential in moving from ordinary to extraordinary. There is no limit to what you can do if you believe. Yes. So what do you think about that, Anastasia?
I totally agree with you, Miss Deborah. It is so interesting that it seems like the arts was the second thought when they were adding or creating the acronym. So I know that, a lot of persons, they not only maybe like thrive a little bit in the other areas. They may be doing okay in science and technology and things like that. But there's also no doubt in the need for the areas of the arts. It is one of those things that one person's excel in, yes. But two, music gives us a feeling, you know, it
Right.
evokes a lot of feelings in us. Being able to create music in whatever form, whether it's songwriting or creating um, the patterns of music. I don't know what you call it right now. I am not one of those lyricists. I do not follow music closely enough. I am one of those that's on the listening end, not the creating end. But those persons that create beats and patterns and things like that for songs, it's an outlet, it's an expression. Those that dance, those that act, those that do all sorts of things, it's such an outlet. And being able to have that outlet helps you so much with your focus in all of the other areas. I'm not sure how that became an afterthought, but I'm glad that they corrected it.
Yes, we definitely need that. Yeah, it's amazing, things that really, because when you think about it, you need all of those, and all of them are essential because not everybody wants to go into business. Not everybody wants to be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. You have a lot of people that want to go into uh, in the entertainment industry, so they need that arts and teaching. So yeah, it's amazing. Okay, well, I'm going to start out here, and I'm going to talk about the ABCs and why they were necessary, and I kind of think they still are necessary. They're the basics because that's what we teach our young when they start out. So I'm going to talk about the ABCs. Only specific individuals were entitled to learn and grow their knowledge for many years. People of certain nationalities were beaten or killed if caught trying to learn how to read or write. Some still risked the consequences for a chance to be able to read the Bible and write their own names. Even in my lifetime, I have met individuals who could not read or write, They signed their name by marking an X. That was all that they could do. They did not know how to spell their name or anything. So if someone gave them a check, they couldn't even sign their name, but they had to put an X, and then someone else would validate that's who they were. That's sad. If you can't read or write, you are limited to what knowledge you may be able to glean. There are people that fought for others to have the right to learn, and it is a privilege that we should not take lightly. Years ago, it was necessary to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's what they call it, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And learning from these subjects provided the skills for most jobs that were available during that time. So you have to think about it. The job market today is different than it was years and years ago. Back then they had teachers, and a teacher may have taught the whole county because not everybody was allowed to go to school. Some had to stay and work on the farm or some other family business. So that teacher only taught those who were allowed to go to school. They had bankers, they had a sheriff, and then they had store owners. And if any of you have watched maybe Westerns or some of the older programs, you can kind of think about what I'm saying. Because centuries ago, they didn't have any automated machinery such as the scanners we have today. They didn't have QR codes. Eventually, typewriters came into place, but for years, they didn't have those. So our bankers only had to deal with cash. So that arithmetic was necessary. They had to know how to count, how to subtract. Because again, and they might have had what's called bonds. I've heard them talk about bonds back then, but for the most part, they only had cash. And then your newspapers, they had to type their articles. And then they had to take letter by letter and set them on these printing boards in order to get one page of a newspaper. So most people don't use to get the physical newspapers anymore. Most people get their newspapers online. But you can remember when newspapers were, like this, and then on the weekends they were like this. But imagine having to do all that work for just one page of a newspaper. The merchants or store owners had specific types of products that they sold. And guess what? They allowed people to have credit, but they didn't have credit cards or anything like that. Excuse me. They had to have paper, and they had to run tabs. So they had to have that person's name. And if they spent 16 cents today, and they came back 2 days later and spent 8 cents, they had to keep up with that. And I guess you're saying 16 cents and 8 cents. But again, I'm talking about hundreds of years ago when things didn't cost as much as they cost today. So it was a different kind of dynamic. No credit card machines, no plastic, just cash. And then your sheriffs. They had pistols and shotguns or rifles. Well, they didn't have any of the technology that our sheriff department has today. They didn't have to do reports. They didn't have anything to do background checks. They had no idea about fingerprinting. So they didn't have to do all that stuff. So again, the reading, the writing, and the arithmetic was necessary for them, but that was all that they needed. And so it goes. Your adding, subtracting, writing, and being able to read was sufficient. Then came multiplication and division. Typewriters came. The years and years later, they got calculators. But reading, writing, and arithmetic have been the core of learning. So when I say it was necessary, it was necessary. And when you think about reading, you learn words, word recognitions, and then you try to comprehend, what does that word mean? What does it look like? What does it mean? When you find out what it means, you can get motivated into, what is that word? You get to consolidate all of this knowledge. And the more you read, The higher your skill level is, you improve. It increases your vocabulary. When you read, you learn different words. You see words you've never seen before, and that should make you want to know, well, what does that word mean? I need to look into that. And it definitely assists with your communication skills. So reading was very, very necessary. And the writing. Remember, I talked about people that didn't even know how to write because, again, remember, certain ethnicities were not allowed to know how to write. They didn't want, I'll say, African Americans to learn how to read and write. They didn't want them to be able to come up against other people if they learned what was going on and how to communicate better and to people that are higher up. So with the writing, you take one word and then you put it into a sentence, and then you begin to formulate. You can get to combine your thoughts, your creative expressions, and then you think, well, not everybody is a good writer. However, you learn as you go what makes sense and how to put things together. Sometimes you have to think that if someone is not really good at writing or putting things together in structure, they may use poor grammar or whatever. There's certain professions that they may not thrive in. So it's important to know, okay, am I good at this or am I not? Is it something that I am good in, but I can improve and do that? So again, ABC. And then arithmetic. That includes all the numbers, the whole numbers, your 1, 2, 3, your decimals like 0.10, 0.20, your fractions, a half, a fourth. You have your addition, your subtraction, your multiplication, your division. And it is essential to learn arithmetic, because if you don't learn basic arithmetic, guess what? When you get into the higher levels in school, then you will have a problem comprehending how to go into those other phases of math, what we call math today. So, but learning arithmetic that will assist in counting money, accounting for items that you have, tipping, everybody is going to tip crazy now. And I say tip crazy because I believe in tipping for good service, and sometimes not so good service, because I don't think your waiter or waitress should be penalized for what might happen back in the kitchen, because that's not their fault. So I believe in tipping, but now they want you to tip if someone answers the phone and you say, I want to call an order. Well, they feel like you should tip them. If they drive through, if you drive through somewhere, they're thinking, hey, I deserve a tip. So that's why I'm saying that. But you need to understand math in order to be able to tip appropriately. Who doesn't like discounts? Somebody said they're giving you a 20% discount. You want to be able to calculate what does that discount look like. So it is essential to understand. And then not many people have checking accounts nowadays, or they may have a checking account, but they don't write checks. But it helped us back in the day to balance our checkbooks. But now you can do that on an Excel spreadsheet. You can just reconcile whatever, but you do need to know the basic methodology to say, this is what I have in the bank. This is what I thought I had in the bank. But since they gave me this report, I have written these checks, or have these many credits or debits that I use. I had automatic deposits. So you should be able to keep up with your money. It's very, very important. So again, your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s are necessary aspects of life. So when your parents, try to tell you, hey, you need to get with it, you got to study, do it. Because you don't want to get up in your 10th grade, 11th grade, and it's like, oh, I should have been listening. But again, ABCs are necessary.
They definitely are. I was listening to you and I had to take note of the part where you say that the people higher up wanted to try and keep education away from the persons that worked for them or the communities that they wanted to try and keep beneath them. And I am so thankful for the change that has taken place because in today's society, if you don't know something, it's more than likely because you don't want to know.
Right.
I call YouTube a university. Every single thing that you could possibly want to learn to do, you can learn to do it on YouTube. You can learn the basics of it through Google. There are 1,012 apps that are out there to teach you anything that you want to know from any angle that you want to know it. And
Yes.
so, while there are some bits of information that, we still not privy to, there are still some conversations that are held in some upper chambers across the world, in all of these places, in every boardroom, you know, there are some conversations that are not put out for everyone to have that information. But generally speaking, especially from an educational standpoint, it's great that today education is free. But even with the STEM introduction that has been brought about now, there is no running away from or avoidance of the basics, the reading, writing, the arithmetic. It's just a matter of building on them. So, with the STEM programs and with the introduction of it, it is a little bit of a learning through experience type of theory. It is an approach to learning and development that integrates the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math. That is STEM. Through STEM, students develop key skills, including problem solving, creativity, and critical analysis. Now, back in the days of what Miss Deborah was talking about, they just called it common sense. That's pretty much what it was. Because when you go outside and you turn on the hose, because you drinking from the hose. It's a hot summer day. You're playing outside. You're not going inside the house because you're gonna get shouted at if you're coming in and out the house all day. You go into the hose to go and get something to drink. You, from experience, will learn and know that, okay, when I first turn on the hose, I need to make sure that the first set of water runs off, and then I can put my mouth to it and get a cool set of water to drink. That's correct, right, Miss Deborah?
That's right.
Okay, that was a science experiment. Nowadays, it would be considered a science experiment. That would be an entire lesson because the first set of water, you have to consider why it is that we would let it run through first. The hose itself has been laying in the sun already. And so that water that has been laying in the hose is hot. You don't want the hot water first. That if the hose does not have a closer on the end of it, it's possible that there may be ants or there may have been dirt from when you put it down the last time, all sort of contaminants and stuff inside of it. That's a science experiment within itself. But in the time of it, that's not how we're thinking about it. Experience has taught us, no, you don't catch the first blow. You make sure and let that let it go through first, and then you catch the little bit of the aftermath, and then you're gonna be good from this point on. If you let it go for like half a minute or so, from that point on, you're gonna be good. Okay. We have these things. Oh, I forgot what it is called. Um, Whereas it goes that in experiments, they always want you to build a better mousetrap, right?
Mm.
And so through kinesthetics, you are connecting one device to another, to another, to another. I keep on thinking rickshaw. That's what keeps on coming to my mind. But you connect one thing to another thing to another thing. And in the end, you are building a better mousetrap.
Mm.
Now, however many little balls it is that it takes to wind down the way, however many little things have to tip over and something has to fill with water and all the rest of this thing, whatever needs to be done, at the end, you are achieving a goal. But doesn't it sound like the Looney Tune cartoons? I know I may be aging myself right now. I know that I may be aging myself, but it sounds like the Looney Tune cartoons to me because Acme was the greatest company invented when it came to anything experimental, especially for when it came down to the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
All right. You
Exactly.
are telling your age, girl.
I might be telling on myself a little bit, but I'll do it for the stream. I'll do it for the stream. And Acme gave all of these different experiments to Wile E. Coyote and gave him all of these different methods, and he was using leverage to try to get the rock to fall. You would see him do the little diagram and where it's supposed to land, and he knows at what point he's supposed to tip it over in order for it to hit the road runner because the road runner is going at a certain speed. And in those moments, it's not what we're thinking about. We're not thinking STEM, we're not thinking STEAM, but it is what we're talking about now. And so, like I said, it is the studies of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And although we did not give it those labels, or we did not have this acronym in use at the times of Wile E. Coyote or in the movies way back when, or when we were playing around in the summertime and all the rest of that stuff, we did not have this acronym. The principle remains the same. So with the STAM, as we were discussing earlier, it is the inclusion of the arts into the STEM. And what I've noticed to be very interesting about the STAM or the STEM is that no one truly goes without the other. In technology, you still need to be able to use mathematics. You still need to be able to use a bit of science. In even in the arts, you still have to be able to do some calculations. You still have to be able to use some engineering. The way that dancers move through the air, they may not be calculating something on paper, but they are still checking wind velocity and angles, and all of those things are in use. If you tip your leg up too high, then the front portion of your body, based on the weight and the elevation of your leg, you can lose your balance and fall over. That's still math. That's still science. And so there is no one STEA or M that functions without the other. And so as we began to talk about it with the magnet schools, it is a system whereas the area of focus is explored throughout the school. And so if there is a school that focuses on technology, they will ensure that they are at the very height of the technological forum, that they are in possession of the latest equipment. They will make sure that it is integrated somewhere within all of their lessons and that they are creating a space that allows for their students to explore everything along the lines of technology without being hindered or without being limited. You don't have to worry about funding for the music department because that's not a focus. The focus is on technology. They don't have to worry about a focus on the sports department because the focus is on technology. Same thing with the schools that draw towards the sciences. Same thing with the schools that draw towards the arts. They are going to put the majority of their funding into these specific areas so that they can ensure that everything that is necessary is there. The environment is created so that the students will still learn through experience but also have the opportunity for their minds to be able to go even further than what it is they see at the present time. Their their curriculum and everything is going to be based in encouraging their students to go further in this particular area. Now, here in the Bahamas, we do not have that exact type of system. What we've been doing is trying to ensure that in each of our school districts, there is at least one school that focuses on a particular area. Like we have schools that we would call technical schools because they focus more on ensuring that their students do things like cosmetology, they do things like auto mechanics, they do things like they do a little bit of business and music and sports. They still do the basic things, but they would have an entire area that is dedicated to being able to do things that's good with your hands, cosmetology and so forth, nail technicians and things like that. Those are the opportunities and the occupations that they encourage and foster. And then there are schools that have focuses in the sciences. And so we do have a government school is that has a marine biology program. It has a internship that they offer. It has scholarships that they offer because the school is focused on that aspect and that arena. And so persons that are looking to donate or organizations that are looking to donate to fostering this type of education and these type of fields, they can literally choose a school to donate to or a school program to donate to that is going to help them along, even though they are government assisted. And so it's a wonderful thing to be able to focus on where your interest is and to be able to be around like minded people because I believe that is definitely a part of what makes these programs so successful because you are in an environment that encourages what it is that you like to be encouraged in. It encourages your interest, it encourages your focus, your goal, and it helps you to get to another level. So, the last point that I wanted to give on the STEM and STEAM experience is helping our kids to identify which area it is that they are focused on. And Miss Deborah and I, we talk regularly about listening to your kids. We talk to you regularly about um, listening more than you speak. You've got one mouth and two ears, so you're supposed to listen twice as much as you speak, and not just hear them, but actively listen. You know, And so, my last bit that would be for our listening audience today would be the encouragement to ensure that when it is that your children are taking a particular interest in any of these areas, you may not know which area it may fall under. Because, like I said, even with the experiment on building a better mousetrap, You may see that your child is just a creative genius. They keep on taking apart the remote. Every toy that you buy them, they keep on taking it apart. And you're like, this destructive little something. That is what you are thinking to yourself. But they are actually curious about how that toy works. They
Yes.
want to know, okay, I see that there's lights here, but I know that there isn't a firefly. How does this light up? And so curiosity got the best of them, and they opened up that toy and they wanted to see. And they saw the wiring, and they took their finger and they followed it along so that they can see where it hooks up to the battery. And then they took out the battery. And if they were anything like my brother, if they did not have the right size of battery, because there have been times in our house where you need a double A battery, but you only got those triple A around the house. And so you're going to put the little bit of foil paper and you're going to mash that up really small so that you can make it fit into the double A slot. And boom, it's engineering. Look at that. It was engineering.
Yeah.
At that time, in that moment, you did not know that's what it was. But there you go. That's what it is. I just helped you out a little bit. That
Yes.
kid who is every song that they hear, they've got to move, they've got to dance. They can hear a song play on the radio one time, and then as you walk straight through the grocery store, they're singing that song in their head, and they're singing it out loud, and they don't care who's walking by looking at them. Guess what? You've got an artist on your hands. Whether it is that they are interested in the technical side of it, of creating the beat, and that is what stuck with them, whether it is the lyrics of the song that resonated with them, and so it just stuck out and they stick with it, or whether it's the dance that they have come up with in their head and they are just they walking along with you, but in their head, that song is playing and they are figuring out what their next step is and what their next move is so that they can do a TikTok about it when they get home. These are the creatives. There you go. You're welcome. This child is interested in the arts. Let's foster that love. Let's move and lean into these interests so that we can make sure that our kids are not stuck in a profession that they don't want to be in when they get
Right.
22, 24, 31 years old. Because I guarantee you, the child that took apart the remote, they're still taking apart something when they're 30.
That's right.
They are. They're still going to be taking apart something. They're still going to be trying to figure out how something else works. They're still going to be that handyman. And when the light fixture isn't working properly, and you know that light switch, you got to put it up to a certain point just so that the circuits can connect because you can't just flip that light up automatically like how you're supposed to. You just got to lean it up and just play with it a little bit for the light to come on. They are the ones that's going to take that cover off and they're going to figure out why it's not working properly. They're going to be the ones to be able to fix it. You don't want them to be in a dead end job, sitting somewhere behind a desk, when behind that desk, all they're doing is they're at YouTube University trying to figure out how to fix the circuit at the light switch.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. That was truly interesting. But just think about it. If you're not listening and paying attention to your child, you may be trying to push them in one direction, and they are showing you by taking apart different things in the house. And hey, I never would have thought about the foil and the battery, but they are showing you that they have critical thinking skills. They think outside the box. So you may be pushing them in a direction that's not what their gift is. So learn to listen to your child. And yes, our ABCs will always be necessary, but science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math, they all flow together because we all have different skills and abilities, and we need to focus on what our gift is in the field that we want to go in. So if it's music, singing, directing, whatever, that's just as great as being a doctor. So let our children be creative and think outside the box. Just pay attention to them. It's all good. Yes. So I hope that you enjoyed our topic today. ABCSTEM, necessary to essential, because again, it is all it is necessary, but it's just going from outstanding to extraordinary. And Anastasia brought up some really unique thoughts that you probably never even thought about. So we do thank you for tuning in. And what are your closing thoughts, Anastasia?
My closing thoughts are, like I said, do not um, be a killjoy. Make sure that in all areas that your children find interest, that you try your best to foster them. I've already bought a entire digital camera, DSLR camera, because my daughter decided that she wanted to be a photographer at one point, and she's not. I've already done club memberships and lots of things in sports and this and that and a recorder and a keyboard and everything and everything and everything. But if we do not give them the opportunity to sort through these interests, then we never know what would happen. It's just like when you're telling your kids, you know what, that girl, she's not a good friend for you. Y'all really need to stop talking to each other. You can see things from your point of view. And in the moment, your child is seeing things from their point of view. All they know is that they want it. They need it. They desire it. They have to have it right now. The more that you try to pull them away from it, then the harder they are going to try to get into it. That friend that you try to keep them away from, they're going to gravitate to it even more just because you're telling them no, don't do it. But like their interests, if you feed into it and you give them the tools necessary to explore it, they're going to find out for themselves whether it's something that they truly want to do or if it's something that they should really leave alone because it's not, enough of an interest for them, or they decide that, okay, I like this, but I only like this as a hobby. I'm not going to make a career out of this thing right here. If they don't get the opportunity to experience it and work through it, they're not going to know. And it's just going to be a lingering thought. And that's something that they're going to hold on to, just like that bad friend. And because they didn't experience it and explore it, that thought is going to be with them. It's going to stay with them and it's going to linger longer than it may need to, rather than for them to just play in it, get their hands dirty, realize it's not for them, and let it go. Or even better, play in it, get their hands dirty, and then become one of the greatest creative minds that their generation has ever seen.
Yep. Great topic. Great, great, great. Thank you all again for tuning in, and thank you for all of your great input, Anastasia. Excuse me. Please make sure that you join us Tuesday, August 29th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Reach Out. Our special guest is going to be Cynthia Ferguson from Dallas, Texas. And our topic is educators can make or break a student. So I know that's got some people like, huh, what? So make sure you tune in so you can see what we're talking about. This educators can make or break a student 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. So make sure you tune in. And make sure you check out my website, www.buildyourbestlife.org, www.buildyourbestlife.org. Check out the blog that comes out each Monday at 10 a.m. Check out our calendar of events to see what events we have coming up. As well, our services that we offer, which is speaking, webinar speaking, coaching, and consultations. You can also get your autographed copy of my book, Build Your Best Life. It's about your life, your actions, and your credibility, overcoming obstacles to build your best life. Yes. And if you like the Kindle version, Amazon.com. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. We look forward to seeing you on next fourth Saturday for Real Talk. And we're going to have a treat on the second Saturday in September. So stay tuned for that. But enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning in, because you could have been anywhere else. So we appreciate you tuning in to build your best life. Make sure that you like, comment, and share. Pass the word, because we want to get this content out to everyone to assist our young men in building their best lives. So remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan. It's our commitment. I love you. Be blessed. Stay safe. Love you, Anastasia. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.